Hello. I'm ready to read some stories, and I hope you are too. I've got one picked out today. The first one that I have picked out is about a dinosaur. We haven't read anything about dinosaurs yet. Um, and this one is about, well, let me read you the back. The dinosaurs take cover when Brontosaurus has a dreadful dinosaur-sized awful day. Just who has dared to play in all Bronty's favorite places? We'll find out in The Tale of Brontosaurus. Bronty was having a dreadful, dinosaur-sized, awful day. "What's this?" she thundered. "Someone has nibbled the tastiest leaves from my tree." She stamped her feet. Ker-thump, ker-thump. The ground shuddered, and the trees shivered. "Who did this?" she bellowed. But no one answered. "What's this?" roared Bronty. "Someone has turned my beautiful lake into a muddy mess." She stomped her feet. Ker-thump, ker-thump. The volcanoes rumbled, and pebbles crumbled. "Who did this?" she shouted. But no one answered. "What's this?" screamed Bronty. "Someone has left dirty footprints in my cave." She stamped her feet. Ker-thump, ker-thump. The mountains trembled and boulders wobbled. "Who did this?" she shouted. And a small voice answered, "I did." "Why have you been nibbling my trees and swimming in my lake and resting in my cave?" Bronty yelled. "I was looking for someone to play with," said the small dinosaur. The other dinosaurs gasped. Bronty frowned. Everyone held their breath. Bronty began to smile. "I'll play with you," she said. "A friend is just what I need." And Bronty and her new friend played hop and kerthump together until the hills wiggled and the water rippled and the sky shook. The end. Now, when I was a little kid, I liked this book for a reason in particular, and that is, in this book, if you fold out the pages, you can read it like this. And that was The Tale of Brontosaurus by Terri Wiltshire. A little science fact for any of you who are interested. If you've ever heard of an apatosaurus, that's another name for the same dinosaur, the Brontosaurus. Scientists do tend to prefer the name apatosaurus, but a lot of people still use Brontosaurus. I just thought that was interesting. All right. From giant dinosaurs to tiny birds, we return to Plop and the owl who was afraid of the dark. And Plop has been learning a lot about the dark. Oh, hello. You'll be joining us today, I suppose? That good? Okay. Plop has been learning a lot about the dark. He's been learning that dark is exciting, kind, fun, necessary, fascinating, and today, maybe he'll learn that dark is wonderful. "That was nice," said Plop, when he had gulped down what his father had brought. "What was it?" "A shrew," said his father. "I like shrew," said Plop. "What's next?" "A short pause," said Mrs. Barn Owl. "Let your poor daddy get his breath back." "All right," said Plop, "but do hurry up, Daddy. Shrews are nice, but they're not very big, are they? This one feels very lonely all by itself at the bottom of my tummy. It needs company." "I don't believe there is a bottom in your tummy," said his father. "No matter how much I put into it, it is never full. Oh well, I suppose I had better go and hunt for something else to cast into the bottomless pit." "That's what fathers are for," said Plop. "Wouldn't you like to go hunting too, Mummy? It would be a nice change for you." "Thank you very much," said Mrs. Barn Owl. "What you really mean is that you won't have to wait so long between courses. But I will certainly go if you don't mind being left." "Why don't you come with us?" said his father. "Then you wouldn't have to wait at all." Plop looked around at the creeping darkness. No thank you, Daddy," he said. "I have some more remembering to do." "Right-o," said Mr. Barn Owl. "Ready, dear?" Plop's parents took off together, side by side, their great white wings almost touching. Plop sat outside the nest hole and watched them drift away into the darkness until they melted into each other and then disappeared altogether. It took quite a long time, because the stars were coming out and Plop could see a long way by their light with his owl's eyes. He remembered what his mother had said about dark never being black. It certainly was not black tonight. It was more of a misty gray, and the sky was pricked all over with tiny stars. "Drat!" said a voice from somewhere below Plop. Plop started and peered down through the leaves. There was a man with some sort of contraption set up in front of him, standing there scowling up at the cloud which had hidden the moon. What was he doing? Plop shut his eyes, took a deep breath, and fell off his branch. What is that contraption the man has there? Plop shot through the air like a white streak and landed with a soft bump. "Heavens!" cried the man. "A shooting star!" "Actually, I'm a barn owl," said the shooting star. "What's the thing you've got there?" "A telescope," said the man. "A barn owl, did you say? Well, well, I thought you were a meteor. How do you do?" "How do I do what?" asked Plop. "Oh, you know what I mean," said the man. "How are you?" "Hungry," said Plop. "I thought you said I was a shooting star, not a meteor." "A meteor is a shooting star," said the man. "Oh," said Plop. "What is the television for?" "Telescope," said the man, "for looking at things like the stars and planets." "Ooh," said Plop. "Can I have a look, please?" "Of course," said the man, "but it's not a very good night for it, I'm afraid. Too cloudy." "I don't like the dark very much," said Plop. "Really?" said the man. "How very odd. You must miss such a lot. Dark is wonderful." "Tell me," said Plop, "please." "I'll do better than that. I'll show you," the man said. "Come and put your eye— No, this end." Plop had jumped up, scuttled along the telescope, and was now peering backwards between his feet into the wrong end. "I can't see anything," he said. "You surprise me," said the man. "Try this end." Plop wobbled back along the telescope, and the man supported him on his wrist so that his eye was level with the eyepiece. "Now can you see anything?" "Oh, yes," said Plop. "It makes everything come nearer, doesn't it? I can see a bright, bright star. That must be very near." "Yes," said the man. "Just 54 million miles away, that's all." "Million?" gasped Plop. "Yes," said the man. "That's Sirius, the dog star. You're quite right. It is one of the nearest." Obviously, millions were nothing to the man with a telescope. "Why is it called the dog star?" asked Plop. "Because it belongs to Orion, the great hunter. Look, there he is. Can you see those 3 stars close together?" Plop drew his head back from the telescope and blinked. "Can I change eyes?" he said. "This one's getting very tired." "Yes, of course. Now, see if you can find the great hunter." "He has 3 stars close together, did you say?" "Yes, that's his belt," said the man. "And some fainter stars behind him?" "Yes, that's his sword." "I've got him!" shouted Plop. "I've got Orion the Great Hunter! Oh, I never knew stars had names. Show me some more." "Well, we'll see if we can find the pole star, shall we?" said the man. "Hang on, I have to swing the telescope around for that." Plop had a ride on the telescope, and then the man showed him how to find the plow and the 2 stars pointing straight up to the pole star. "That's a bright one too, isn't it?" said Plop. "Yes. There, now you can find that. You need never get lost. Because that star is directly over the North Pole, so you'll always know which way north is." "Is that important?" asked Plop. "Very important," said the man. "Heavens, what was that?" An eerie, long-drawn shriek had torn the peace of the night. "Oh, let me show you some of these constellations." You can see the dog constellation Sirius on one side, and then Orion, the great hunter, on the other. "Oh, heavens, what was that?" the man had just said. "Oh, dear, I expect that's my daddy," said Plop. They looked up. A ghostly whitish form circled above them. "Yes, it is. I better let him know I'm here." "Eeeeee!" "Ugh!" said the man, jumping. "You should warn people when you're going to do that. You know, I've often wondered what that noise was. Now I shall know. It is only you or your father." "Or my mother," said Plop. "I really must go. Thank you very, very much for teaching me about the stars." Sit up, buddy. There you go. He hopped onto the little telescope and bowed his funny little bow. "Goodbye." "Goodbye, Master Barn Owl," said the man. "Good stargazing." Plop flew up to join his father, and together they landed on the landing branch. "Well?" said Plop's mother. "The man with the telescope says dark is wonderful, and he called me Master Barn Owl, and—" "And what do you think, Plop?" said his mother. "I know what I think," said Mr. Barn Owl, not giving Plop a chance to reply. "I think Master Barn Owl has got a bit of a cheek to send his poor parents on an absolutely urgent search for food, and then not bother to be there when they get back. I thought you were supposed to be starving." "I am starving," said Plop, "but did you know that the dog star is 54 million miles away?" "Do you want your dinner or don't you?" said Mr. Barn Owl. "Oh, yes," said Plop. He gobbled down what his father had brought, and he gobbled down what his mother had brought, and not only did he not ask what it was that he had just eaten, but he did not even say, "What's next?" What he said was, "Daddy, do you know how to find the pole star? Shall I show you?" "By all means," said Mr. Barn Owl, giving his wife a slow wink. "Anything that can take your mind off your tummy like this must be worth seeing." Plop would not rest, and so neither could Mr. and Mrs. Barn Owl, until he had made quite sure that they could recognize all the stars which the man with the telescope had shown him. He was still at it at about 4 o'clock in the morning. "Now are you quite sure you understand about the pole star?" he said to his mother, who seemed to be being a bit slow about it. "I think so, dear," yawned Mrs. Barn Owl. "You find the thing that looks like a plow but is actually a big bear, or is it a small bear? And the pole star is, near the North Star." "The pole star is the North Star," Plop said impatiently, "and the two stars at the front of the plow point to it. I don't think you're really trying. You haven't been listening." "Oh, we have," said Mr. Barn Owl. "We have been listening for hours and hours. I think perhaps Mummy is just a little bit tired." "But you must know how to find the pole star," said Plop, "or you might get lost." "I never get lost," said his father indignantly, "and neither does your mother. Now be a good chap and go into the nest hole, and I'll see if I can find you something nice for your supper. You can have it in bed for once. "Oh, all right," said Plop, "but I really do feel that you should know about these things. I'll have to try to explain again tomorrow." Mr. Barn Owl turned to his wife in horror. "Oh, no, not tomorrow night as well. I couldn't stand it." "Never mind, dear," said Mrs. Barn Owl, soothingly. "You haven't had to do nearly as much hunting as usual." "I'm not at all sure that this stargazing isn't much more wearing than filling the bottomless pit," groaned Mr. Barn Owl. "Oh, Daddy," Plop put his head out of the nest hole, "did I tell you about Orion? Orion is the great hunter, and— Oh, he's gone." "Yes, dear, he must finish his hunting before it gets light," said his mother. "Now you get back in there, and mind you wash behind your ears properly. I'm coming to inspect you in a minute." So Plop had his supper in bed, and then, like a real night owl, he slept right through the daylight hours. We have one more chapter in here. Before I go, I want to tell you, if you're interested in stargazing, there's a wonderful website I can link for you in the description called Astronomy Picture of the Day, or APOD. Astronomy Picture of the Day. It is a website which does what you would guess. Every day they post a picture of something that someone saw through their telescope. Today is April 6, 2020, and someone posted a picture of a galaxy that they saw through their telescope. It's really cool. They'll post stars and planets and all kinds of other things. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoyed the stories you read today, and maybe I'll see you next time.